everybody, Sticks here with the Token Minorities, bringing you another deck on Pokemon TCGO, and today I'm bringing you a deck centered around Mega Beedrill-EX. And before I get into the deck, just a reminder that if you like this video or found it helpful, please leave a like, drop a comment, and maybe subscribe. Really helps us out a lot and lets us do more for you guys. And as for the question of the day, Mega Beedrill, as I'm sure a lot of you guys know, relies on, well, has an attack that makes your opponent poisoned and paralyzed, and that got me thinking, what other status conditions are there in the TCG? And my question of the day really does stem from that. And the question is, what do you think is the most influential and important status in the entire Pokemon TCG metagame? And if you had to ask me, I would say that sleep is the most influential, because even though I know that there are decks centered around like poison, and I mean, I know that poison and burn are the only ones that are able to take you prizes, and that there are decks completely centered around poison. I mean, I know like Crobat Prime in Legacy, which I kind of have coming up, spoilers, and other things like Hypnotoxic Laser, Verbank, and even this deck to a lesser extent, all rely on poison to be able to take prizes. So poison is huge, don't get me wrong, and paralysis, just not being able to do anything for a single turn, is big. But I think sleep is not only huge in the game, but also takes a huge mental toll as well. And here's why. So sleep relies on a coin flip. Okay, you're asleep, you have to flip a coin. If heads, you're able to wake up, and, well, I mean, 50% of the time, you won't even be asleep long enough for it to matter. I mean, that's just how it works. If you flip heads coming back into your turn, you wake up and boom, sleep just doesn't matter. However, there is that select time where you can potentially stay asleep for the entire game. I think the longest I have been asleep is, I think it was 6 turns, and that was, well, it was a total of 12 flips. 6 turns back and forth. My opponent really just had nothing going at all, and I would have had stuff going if I could wake up, but unfortunately I could not wake up. I could not draw into my switch or anything like that, so I was just forced to stay asleep for 6 turns, which was a total of 12 flips. So, and not only does sleep keep you from being able to do stuff, just the mental toll that flipping a tails in a crucial moment will take on you is huge. Because if you're paralyzed going into your turn and it's a crucial moment, you're like, okay, I'm going to be paralyzed. Here's what I have to do to get around it. So like you're prepared for being paralyzed, like you know that that's how it's going to go, etc. If you're asleep and you flip that tails, that just destroys you. You're like, oh, that stupid tails. And then it gets in your head and you start thinking about it. So for not only its effect in the game, but also the mental effect that the mental toll that it takes on the player, I think sleep is the most influential status in the TCG. But let me know what you guys think and why in the comment section. I would love to hear what you guys have to say. But anyway, onto the deck. This is centered around Mega Beedrill-EX, 200 HP, so a very weak Mega Pokemon, but it has the Hazard Stinger attack for 2 Grass Energy, does 40, which in itself is like, 1 for 40 is a lot better, but you discard all energy attached to this Pokemon, and your opponent's Pokemon is now paralyzed and poisoned, and you put 4 damage counters instead of 1 on them between turns. That sets up some really beautiful math in some cases. However, in the majority of cases, the math is actually really, really bad for Beedrill, and let me explain. So, Mega Beedrill, hit for 40, poison, does 80 going into your opponent's turn. So it does 80 damage right there, and then coming back into your turn, it does 120. Well, I mean, you might be thinking, well, that's a magic number for like Shaymin and other things that are like 100 HP, Mew-EX. So, I mean, like, don't get me wrong, it's still a very cool effect, but there's so many things with 130, like Yveltal, and like EXs with 170 HP, to where they don't get KO'd coming into your turn, they get KO'd going back into your opponent's turn. So you either have to attack with another Hazard Stinger, which gets rid of energy, or you just have to pass, which really doesn't accomplish much of anything. So I think this is a very, very cool card. It's just that the math doesn't work out beneficially for you in a lot of scenarios, so that's why this card isn't as good as I think it could potentially be. Now, I know a lot of YouTubers, in fact 90% of the YouTubers that I see that have put out a deck list, pair this with Yanmega Break, and I do have a deck list that I'm going to showcase in this, but this was my little variation of that, and I decided to pair Mega Beedrill with Garbodor with the Garbotoxin ability, which shuts off opponents' abilities. I mean, it really works well against something that can shut down Beedrill, which is stand-in Zoroark. So attach a Float Stone onto Garbodor, and suddenly just stand-in doesn't work and your opponent's abilities don't work. It can prevent them from being able to draw cards and draw outs to get out of being paralyzed and stuff like that. So I think Garbodor and Beedrill make a very, very solid pairing. I just wish Beedrill was a little bit better so that this combination could actually be pretty good. As for the other cards I'm running, it's pretty standard. Running a couple Shaymin for draw support and Hoopa to get my EXs out. I mean, that's just very standard in a Mega EX deck, but basically this is just completely centered around Beedrill and Garbodor. And then as for the items, obviously you only have one attachment per turn, so you can't just attach 2 Grass Energy each turn onto Beedrill and be able to Hazard Sting. So you need ways of recovering energy that you discard, and what better way to do that than with Mega Turbo? Just slap an energy back onto Beedrill and then play Mega Turbo, get the other energy back, and you're able to Hazard Stinger on back-to-back turns, which is very invaluable and very crucial in this deck. Also running 4 Puzzles of Time for the ability to get back Mega Turbos in order to really just keep consistency, keep being able to hit with Beedrill, and Puzzle of Time plus Mega Turbo is really the engine that allows this deck to Hazard Stinger as much as it wants, so that's really what this deck relies around. I'm also running 1 Super Rod to get some Pokemon back that are in our discard pile, 4 Trainers Mail to help with consistency, 4 Ultra Ball to get everything out, 4 VS Seeker to reuse all of our supporters, and as for these supporters, we are running 3-2 of N and Sycamore. I'm running kind of a smaller line just because we have enough cards that can search out supporters and stuff like that and can get us draw support to where we don't need a higher number of Sycamore. However, if you do want to run a higher number of draw supporters, I would actually recommend getting rid of 1 Grass Energy for an N instead of a Sycamore, just because I ran into so many situations where I have to discard a bunch of useful stuff with Sycamore, as that's my only draw supporter, but I have to. So you lose a lot of resources with Sycamore, particularly in this deck, so I'd recommend running a higher count of N than normal and a little bit lower count of Sycamore. Then I'm also running 2 Lysandre because Lysandre is invaluable, and 2 of them because this deck relies specifically on picking off Pokemon where the magic numbers will get poison coming back into your turn, while they will get knocked out by poison coming back into your turn. So things like Shaymin that will be played on the bench, you Hazard Stinger, they're paralyzed and poisoned, then they will get knocked out coming back into your turn, so your opponent doesn't even have a chance to attack before you're able to Hazard Stinger again and you take 2 prizes. 1 Pokemon Ranger just shut down things like Regice. I mean, Glaceon really doesn't shut down this deck at all because of Crystal Ray not preventing the effects of the attacks from evolved Pokemon. However, Regice does shut this down completely. I hope I said Glaceon and not Regice. Glaceon does not shut this deck down, Regice does, and that's why I'm running Pokemon Ranger just as like a countermeasure. 3 Forest of Giant Plants to evolve immediately. You don't need to run 4 because evolving first turn isn't 100% necessary. It's nice, but it's not super necessary. 4 Beedrill Spirit Link for all of our Beedrill. 2 Float Stone for Garbodor and potentially Hoopa, and then 8 Grass Energy to be able to attack. So I tried to streamline this deck as much as possible, make it as consistent as possible. And so yeah, I mean, that's the Garbodor version. I'm going to go ahead and show you the Yanmega version. As you can see, still have all of the cards that I talked about before, except in this deck I replaced the Pokemon Ranger with a Judge and 1 Lysandre with a Judge, just because, I mean, Regice will not be able to shut this down shut this deck down. Wow, I can't talk. Because of Yanmega Break, and then Glaceon can't stop it anyway because of the poison. So that's why I completely got rid of the Pokemon Ranger for a couple Judges, and then as you can see, we still have the Mega Turbo, Puzzle of Time, Backbone, and then just Yanmega Break to be able to hit for some solid damage without our Pokemon EX. So yeah, that is the deck. These are the 2 versions. I'm going to play with the Garbodor deck first and the Yanmega Break deck second. So let's just go ahead and try to find some pretty good matches with this deck. Alrighty, we have found one against Go Taylor with, oh goody, this looks like it's a Greninja Break deck, which Garbodor in itself will shut down completely, and I believe, is that good math? I think, No, Greninja Break is not good math because 120 into his turn, 160 coming back. So not good enough, and... Oh, crud. This is a horrible hand. Oh, my... Wow. Okay. Oh, boy. This is really bad. I mean... Jeez. Oh, boy. So... Yeah, not only start with the Shaymin, but we start with just a bunch of energy and a couple Mega Turbos, which means I'm going to have to Sycamore all those away. So I'm really, really hoping that I get an N off of this, off of my top deck so that I don't have to get rid of all these. And my opponent could have potentially started with a Talonflame, but I mean, I've seen a lot of people do that. They just kind of forget, and they accidentally click, no, you don't. And okay, please. Please, give me an N. I don't want to have to get rid of all these Mega Turbos, and... Oh, boy. Okay, well, I get nothing. So not only am I going to have to discard a VS Seeker and 2 Grass Energy, I'm going to have to discard 2 Mega Turbos as well, and that really sucks. That sucks a whole lot. So what I'm going to do, get rid of Sycamore and a Beedrill Spirit Link to grab a Hoopa. And this first turn, I mean, this is why you run higher counts of N instead of Sycamore in this deck. Oh, jeez. So I'm going to grab a couple Beedrill. I did not want to discard... I would rather discard the Spirit Link than the Puzzle of Time, because, I mean, I need the Spirit Links to be able to get back my Mega Turbos, which I threw into the discard pile or had to discard. And I get a Forest of Giant Plants. So that's pretty solid. What I am going to do is just go ahead and Mega Evolve the Beedrill without the Spirit Link, I think. Yeah, I think that's the better play, because the Beedrill with the Spirit Link I can always evolve whenever I want. I can't attack this first turn anyway, because it's my first turn. Okay, my opponent does get rid of my Forest of Giant Plants, that's fine. I mean, get rid of even more Grass Energy, so now half of my Grass Energy is in the discard, and it's not even turn 2 for me yet. So this is one of those instances of Sycamore discarding a whole lot of valuable stuff. I mean, don't get me wrong, Sycamore I think is the best draw supporter in the game, but it does have that nasty drawback of having to ditch your hand and draw 7 cards. So, I mean, that's just very, very unfortunate. We do see the Bursting Balloon come down onto the Talonflame. Talonflame is one of those nasty Pokemon with 130 HP, which means that the Hazard Stinger KOs are not in the... I guess it's not a magic number for Hazard Stinger KOs. And so, I mean, that's a little bit unfortunate. But either way, my opponent will just Aero Blitz me, grab a couple of cards, and as soon as I can get just the Float Stone and the Garbodor down, I pretty much will win, because at that point he'll just be hitting me for 80 while I'm paralyzing and poisoning and hitting for super effective damage. So I'm not too worried. And I draw an Ultra Ball, which, great, I have to discard that too, so that sucks. That sucks a little bit. And then what I am going to do is go ahead and Trainers Mail, hopefully get... Oh, there we go. That's better. So I'll finally be able to double puzzle. Took me long enough, but I'll finally be able to do it. Let's go ahead and play an energy onto my Mega Beedrill. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Go ahead and retreat into Beedrill with Shaymin. Go ahead and double puzzle. Put 2 cards. Let's grab a Mega Turbo, and what else do I want to grab? Probably a VS Seeker, that way I have a Sycamore for next turn. So, yeah, 2 of my Mega Turbos will be in the discard pile. Great. But what I am going to do is just go ahead and Ultra Ball, get rid of the Garbodor, because I can put that thing right back with a Super Rod, grab another Mega Beedrill to have that thing on the bench. Let's go ahead and first Mega Turbo onto my Beedrill. Play this Beedrill down. And I'm wondering... Yeah, you know what? Let's go ahead and Super Rod, get 3 Grass Energy back, because, I mean, I only have... do I want to put a Garbodor as well? Because I know I have one in the deck. But what I think... Yeah, let's just go ahead and do 3 Grass Energy, because I won't have access to any more... I don't know. Wait, do I want to do it? Wait, do I want to do it? Yes. Okay, 3 Grass Energy. That's it. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and Hazard Stinger. Get 40 damage onto the Talonflame. I'll get hit with the Bursting Balloon, but it's not a big deal because I will have the knockout on it, and my opponent only has 2 cards. Then again, he Aero Blitzed for 3 cards. He Aero Blitzed for 2 of them, which means that he has something that he can work with, obviously. I won't have access to any more Puzzles of Time for this entire game, which is very unfortunate. But that's what happens with Sycamore again. I will have to use my 2 remaining Mega Turbos very wisely, although I think in the right... Oh, my opponent just ends, so that's beautiful. I will be able to get a fresh hand of 6. I wonder why my opponent grabbed N and not Sycamore. Either way, what I am going to do is play the Float Stone onto my Trubbish, probably play down the Forested Giant Plants just to get that out of my hand, and then N again, because even though it'll give my opponent a new hand, I don't want to play it when I have fewer prizes remaining and I give him a fresh hand while not getting a fresh hand of my own. So my opponent will just go ahead and evolve into a Frogadier. I'm wondering why he didn't do that with the cards he Arrow Blitzed for. Either way, the Talonflame will not get knocked out, which stinks, but he will get knocked out going back into his turn, so what I think I'm going to do is just attach an energy to a Beedrill and then end my turn. That way the poison will take him out and I don't actually have to attack him. So let's go ahead and Float Stone onto the Trubbish. Maybe. Do I want to put it on the Hoopa instead? Nah. Let's play it on the Trubbish. Play an energy onto the Beedrill, just because, I mean, I'm just going to manually attach because I don't want to waste a Hazard Stinger this turn. And then, because I know my opponent has Delinquent and I don't want him to get, like, a bunch of good cards, or I don't want him to, like, get me out of all the necessary cards that I need to where I have to discard even more Puzzles of Time, or even more energy or Mega Turbos or something like that. I'm just going to not play that down and then end my turn, draw another Beedrill, Talonflame will get knocked out, and then the Frogadier is going to come up. He will be able to water duplicates, but, I mean, it's not a huge deal at all. I will be able to attach an energy next turn, hit him for super effective damage, and, well, actually... Wait, yeah, Greninja will actually be... The regular Greninja will be good Hazard Stinger math, because it will get knocked out coming back into my turn. Then again, if he evolves into a Greninja Break, that kind of completely defeats the purpose. So, really, there's just... Shaymin is the only thing that I, off the top of my head, besides Mew in the format, that has good Hazard Stinger math. I mean, I think the Rainbow Force Xerneas also does, but that thing is so often equipped with a Fighting Fury Belt. The ones with the EXP share are good math for Hazard Stinger, but really just nothing else in the format has particularly good math in terms of Hazard Stinger. So Mega Beedrill just isn't able to shine as well as it could with, I guess, other support. And my opponent is taking... I guess taking quite a while. Just going for an end. So I will get 5 cards. Not a huge deal. My Beedrill has free retreat. Hopefully I'll be able to draw into a way of getting my Garbodor. I've 20 card deck, and okay, so I have a way of getting a Garbodor next turn. All I have to do is attach the energy to the Beedrill on the bench, play the Ultra Ball for the Garbodor, and then Sycamore away the rest of my hand. Sycamore for 0. But it really doesn't matter because my opponent goes ahead and concedes, and we are able to take that first game. So really, Beedrill was able to come through. That's exactly what this deck is supposed to do. I know it looked a little weird, but that's because we had to discard so much with Sycamore. But if this deck can not have to discard a bunch of its resources early, it can get going really, really well. So let's just go ahead and try to find another one with the Yanmega Break version of this deck. Alrighty, we have found another one against a Ghost with, it looks like... it looks like an Yveltal Garbodor deck, which is a very, very poor matchup because not only will you have the... whatchamacallits. Yeah, whatchamacallits, I'm so specific. Not only will you have the Garbodors that will shut off our Yanmega breaks, but you also have the Yveltals that are able to snipe Beedrill on the bench and start just hitting them for more damage. And, I get a good hand. Don't get me wrong. I get a very good hand to start off with. What I am going to go ahead and do is get rid of the Sycamore and the Lysandre to grab a Hoopa. Let's go ahead and play that sucker down. Probably grab a couple Beedrill and a Shaymin. 1-2 Beedrill. Shaymin right there. And then go ahead and take those cards into my hand and play them right down. Obviously play the Forested Giant Plants. Honestly, at this point, I'm hoping for a Beedrill Spirit Link, because that way I can evolve into a Mega Beedrill immediately and then just take out this Trubbish, because at that point, Yanmega will be able to actually start doing stuff. If if my opponent gets a what? If my opponent gets a Garbodor, I'm in a little bit of trouble. But okay, so we do get actually a really good start, not gonna lie. So let's go ahead and Ultra Ball away. Get rid of... Actually, you know what? I think I'm just going to sit on my hand, because if I can get a draw supporter, then I will Ultra Ball for a Yanmega break. If I do not, then I'll have to Ultra Ball for a Shaymin, and I'll be able to Hazard Stinger next turn. So this is a very, very solid start. We do see the Fighting Fury Belt, which, okay, does that help with math? Does that help with the math? Hold on. So if it goes 80 into his turn, 120 back into my turn, 160 back into his turn, 200 back into my turn, 210 back into... Okay, so it really doesn't help with the math that much. Wait, is 170? Because 120, 160... Yeah, so actually 170 EXs. I was wrong. 170 EXs do make for some... Actually, no, they still don't make for good math, because then you still have to do damage to them. Ugh. Wait, so does a 210 help? Let me rethink this through. And my opponent plays Faded Town. Of course they do. Of course I run into the... This is actually the first Yveltal deck I've seen that runs Faded Town, and he even just... That's ridiculous. Okay. And my opponent just decides to stall with my Hoopa, so that is very unfortunate. I can't even get a Float Stone, so I have to just attach the energy and go from there. So let's go ahead and Ultra Ball, get rid of the Grass Energy, no, the Force Giant Plants, and the Yanmega to draw a Shaymin. And yeah, so my opponent's Lysandre strategy is going to pay off because he got the Float Stone on the Trubbish and everything, so that stinks. Won't be able to do much of anything, and I don't have anywhere to play that Spirit Link, so let's go ahead and just grab the Force Giant Plants, just in case, and then end the turn right there, because I can't do anything. So, yeah, that's unfortunate. I would have very much liked to have been able to Hazard Stinger, and my opponent gets another Float Stone onto his Shaymin, and that's fine, whatever. And he will Super Rod back in the Garbodor. Ah, crap. I mean, this is just a very bad matchup for us overall, because of the Garbodor and the Yveltal and the Faded Town, the random Faded Town. That, I mean, I know people are, like, kind of starting to run it, but still, like, this is one of the first instances I've run into an Yveltal deck with Faded Town. That's just not a card that you normally see. You normally see Parallel City. Actually, that's the card that you normally see in those decks, so it's just... Of course, we run into the Yveltal deck that runs Faded Town when I'm trying to run a Mega deck, and of course, we run into the Garbodor when I am running the non-Garbodor version of this deck. So basically, just a lot of things going wrong right now. Please don't hit this Max Elixir, that would be very bad. Luckily, my opponent hasn't been able to do... Of course, he hits it. Luckily, my opponent hasn't been able to do too much. I mean, I say do too much, and he has a freaking Yveltal staring me down off from the bench. So I get Trainers Mail for a VS Seeker, and there is no energy in my discard pile. Wow. So what I am going to do is go ahead and retreat manually into my Mega Beedrill so that I do have energy in my discard pile. Let's go ahead and Lysandre. Bring up that Yveltal-EX on the bench. I could have brought up the Garbodor, but this Yveltal is way too big of a threat. I have to address this thing immediately. Go ahead and Hazard Stinger. Get some damage onto it, and then go from there. So I could have also brought up the Shaymin, because that would have gotten me 2 easy prizes, but I want to take out this threat as soon as possible. I mean, don't... Actually, you know what? I probably should have gone for the Shaymin. Oh, should I have? I don't know. That's a very 50-50. It really depends on what my opponent draws. Because if my opponent draws a switch or something like that, then it's a good idea to not go for the Yveltal. But if my opponent doesn't, then I probably should have just gone for the Shaymin to take those 2 free prizes. But at the same time, this Yveltal is already powered up with a DCE and 2 Darkness Energy onto it. So I'm very torn as to whether or not that was the right play. I think I had to go off what was the biggest threat to me at this point. And obviously that Yveltal-EX was the biggest threat to me. So I'm going to stand by my play. My opponent is going to go ahead and Sycamore, get some more cards, and hopefully not draw a switch, because if he draws a switch, then he can just go into his Garbodor, retreat back into his Yveltal, and then hit me for some very massive damage, which I would not appreciate at all. So, yeah, just kind of hoping at this point for... I'd like to get another Beedrill up, and there's the Parallel City. So my opponent does play Parallel City and Faded Town. That's interesting. I wonder what cards he decided to get rid of in order to run more Faded City and Parallel City and Faded Town. So I don't know. What I am going to do, go ahead and play the energy onto my Beedrill. And okay, if I get 20... let's grab the Sycamore, actually, because I will discard a VS Seeker. I don't want to play the Forest Giant Plants because I think the math actually works out in my favor. Well, I mean, of course, that was assuming that I would have gotten a Mega Turbo or some way to hit this Yveltal. So what I am going to do is go ahead and attach to my Beedrill, and then do I have anything worth Super Rodding back in? I don't think so. Yeah, well, I mean, there's 3 energy. But then again, if I want to draw, and then, okay, so I get a Mega Turbo that I can use next turn, and a, yeah, so let's, honestly, like, I know that will screw up my deck a little bit, because I did just reorder my cards, and then I just went ahead and put them back. But what I am going to do, just go ahead and end my turn right there, let the poison damage keep racking up on the Yveltal if my opponent wants to retreat. Then, I mean, that's fine. He has to get rid of a DCE, and the damage will be there for later if I need it. And then I can just start hacking away at a completely fresh one. So it's not too bad of an idea. And okay, my opponent just Lysandre's in the Beedrill. Oh boy, this is going to hurt. This is going to hurt a lot. I think he just wants to start taking this guy out because... Actually, I'm wondering what my opponent is going to do. So, Fighting Fury belts up the other Yveltal. Oh, he just Y-Cyclones. He just wanted to get some damage down. So that was smart play by my opponent. Will put the DCE onto his Yveltal on the bench. That's fine. He will get knocked out going back into his turn. What I am going to do is just place the energy onto this Beedrill on my bench and then go for a Judge. Put the Sycamore back in my deck and draw into a couple more cards. Hopefully it's something I can use. Really isn't, so what I am going to do is just retreat into my Yanmega. My Yanmega has free retreat, and, I mean, the Yveltal will get knocked out. I'll take 2 prizes, and, I mean, I don't want to say we're in the lead right now just because I really don't think we are. I think we're in a very, very horrible position. If I can bring up that Garbodor and knock that thing out, then I can actually be in a much better position, but at the same time, I don't want my opponent just getting a huge Yveltal powered up. I need to use my Hazard Stingers wisely because I'm running a little bit low on resources for being able to do that. And I mean, my opponent's obviously going to retreat into his something. What's he going to retreat into? So, yeah. Okay, so he plays down an Yveltal. Sorry for the pause. I was just trying to see what my opponent's doing, and he's going to Lysandre back up. Okay, so he's going to take a knockout on a Beedrill, bring out his Yveltal EX, and... Okay, this one's getting too powerful, too. I need to take it out with Beedrill. I don't think that we're going to be able to win this match, just because my opponent has... I mean, he just has way too many threats to address at once, because, I mean, I want to take out the Yveltal, the Yveltal EX that's going to be able to hit me for huge damage. I want to take out the Garbodor so that I can start using my Yanmega breaks attacks. I don't know. I think there's just too many threats to address at this point to be able to really come through. But, I mean, I'm still going to try. Don't get me wrong. I'm still going to work my butt off to try to find a way to win this match. But I think that there is just too much going against us at this point to where we can realistically pull off a win in an even match where my opponent draws decently and I draw decently too. So, I mean, we'll need a lot of just my opponent drawing poorly and me drawing exactly what I need at the right time. So what I am just going to do, Hazard Stinger. The decreased damage will actually help the math, I'm pretty sure. I think, maybe. So that's coming back in my turn to 100. Going back into his turn is... Oh my gosh, he has another Faded Town. How many stadiums do you run, dude? Holy... I don't know. That's a very weird stadium line by my opponent that is coming through completely. On the bright side, I will be able to Hazard Stinger next turn because I drew into a Mega Turbo and an Energy, so that's a positive. What I am going to do, play the Energy there. Don't want to, yeah, go ahead and Mega Turbo onto my Beedrill, go for another Hazard Stinger, and I mean, on the bright side, we'll be able to take 2 prizes. So coming in, this guy will actually get knocked out coming into my turn. So the math worked out very well for me. On the negative side, I've used all of my Forest to Giant Plants, so I can't counter this Faded Town, which is really just gonna rack up enough damage in combination, especially with that Yveltal on the bench, to where my opponent will be able to just keep hitting me for 60, and that will almost completely shut me down. So even have to look out for this Umbreon too, because that guy, with the combination Faded Town and the energy and the attacks from Pitch Black Spear, endgame would pretty much end the game. So I mean, honestly, like I really don't see, like, I hate being negative, just because I mean nobody wants to see me being negative at this point. Like, nobody really does. Like, you want to see me being enthusiastic, but I think the writing is just too far on the wall for us at this point. I mean, unless my opponent chokes and goes into his Umbreon, I mean, that'd be nice. But what he can do, okay, yeah, I think he's just gonna sack his Yveltal. So what's my play? I mean, I have to Hazard Stinger again. I really do. But what I am gonna do is go ahead and Sycamore, because I need to be able to attack. And so let's go ahead and do that. Hopefully, okay, we get another Mega Turbo. That is very nice. Let's go ahead and do that. Put that onto my Beedrill, and then save the Mega Turbo for next turn so I can Hazard Stinger or have a Hazard Stinger saved up if I need it. So let's go ahead and get 40 damage on to that Yveltal. Discard the energy, and then, darn it, once again, the 130 HP is really locking me down at this point. So, oh boy, how am I going to win this? How am I going to win this? I think what I'll have to do... Okay, my opponent drew nothing. I just wish that there was a way for me to, like, end him down to the rest of his cards, to where he couldn't do anything else. And he'll be able to Pitch Black Spear combined with Faded Town to knock out my Beedrill, which is very... To knock out my Mega Beedrill, which is very unfortunate. But, I mean, I'll be down to 1 prize. If I can get the right combination of cards, I think I have a shot to win. So let's go ahead and retreat into Yanmega. Play Ultra Ball away, get rid of just thin out my deck, see what else is in there. So there's 2 Puzzle of Time left. There's 2 Puzzle of Time. Let's go ahead and play that Yanmega, or get the Yanmega onto my bench. Go ahead and play the regular... What do I want to do? Play the regular energy onto... Do I want to play the regular energy onto Beedrill? Yeah. Oh, wait, no, that was a bad play. That was a very bad play. Because now he'll be able to knock me out with Faded Town. I should have just played the energy onto my Beedrill-EX on the bench. Because Pitch Black Spear with Faded Town is going to be able to knock me out. Ah, darn it. Well, crap. That was a misplay by me. That was a misplay by me. I forgot the correct damage numbers. And yeah, so Pitch Black Spear is going to be able to hit my Yanmega, hit my Beedrill for 60 more, and then the Mega Beedrill is going to get knocked out, coming back into my turn. So, darn it, that was a very bad play. That was a very bad play on my part. On the bright side, I do get 2 Puzzle of Time, which... Okay, so... I need... What do I need? I obviously need... So, Beedrill, Spirit Links, all of them are in the discard pile. There's not a Mega Beedrill left. If there was a Beedrill left in my deck, I could Ultra Ball for that, and then just... Then I could double puzzle for a Beedrill, Spirit Link, and an energy. But unfortunately, my very last prize is my Mega Beedrill. So that that's unfortunate right there. But yeah, let's go ahead and just double puzzle. I think what I have to do is grab... Obviously, I have to grab an energy. I mean, that just goes without saying. But then let's go ahead and grab a VS Seeker for next turn so that I can... Well, actually for this turn, so I can go ahead and hopefully end my opponent into something that he can't work with. Actually, you know what? No. For this turn, I'm just going to Tool Scrapper. Or Double Scrapper. Get rid of both tools to where I can hopefully attack with Yanmega next turn if I need to. And then my opponent is down to... My opponent is decked out. If I can survive this turn, then we will win the match. If I can survive this turn, we will win. So... Oh, no, he has the VS Seeker for the end. Crap. Well, okay, so we lose. That was a... I mean, ultimately it did come down to me being able to... I mean, I would have had to have pin missiled and then gotten, I think... What would I have had to have gotten? I would have had to have gotten a bunch of heads because... Wait, so that would have done... So in order to hit, I would have had to have gotten 6 out of 8 heads. So, I mean, I have a chance to win right here. Don't get me wrong. I still have a chance to win. Because I can pin missile, and that will... Okay, so I lose. I mean, if I had gotten... No, 6 out of 8 heads wouldn't have done it. So that's 80. I would have had to have gotten 5 out of 8 heads, which, I mean, is better odds if I hadn't gotten that misplay. But, I mean, still, I think that that was just a very bad matchup for us. We just had too many threats to address of my opponents at once. And, I mean, that's really what it came down to. There was just too much to take out. Yes, I did make a misplay at the end, but I don't think overall that that would have mattered. We would have had to have relied on luck to win it either way. So, yep, that was the deck, guys. I really hope you guys did enjoy that and enjoyed both versions at that. So, thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all of that stuff. And this is Styx signing out. Why not? See you guys.